Hey there, thanks for joining our session entitled Beyond ChatGPT, How Generative AI Can Amplify Human-Centric Selling. Thank you for joining. I just want to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I am the founder, my name is Andre Yi. I am the founder and CEO of Tiga AI. I was formerly the founder and CEO of a company called Triblio, an ABM company, which we sold to IDG, International Data Group, in the summer of 2020. I then started Tiga last year, and I'm excited to talk about how generative AI can be leveraged for sales. To start with, before I get into the presentation, here are 3 points to lay the groundwork for our presentation. First is, I think that most B2B selling today and in the foreseeable future will be human to human. I don't see that changing. Some people have different opinions to that, but I think that B2B selling for the most part is human to human today and will be in the near future. Second, if that's the case, then AI for sales is mostly about amplifying the human seller. It's about amplifying and augmenting the human seller so that the human seller can do more. And then thirdly, I think that there's emerging a new era for B2B sales, which is the AI-assisted seller. I think the future looks like every seller having an AI that can assist you, whether you're an AE or SDR, assist you in prospecting, assist you with a number of various tasks that you're involved in on a daily basis. To that end, let's start by looking at how sales teams spend their time today. This is a report from Salesforce. It's the Salesforce State of Selling report. And if you look at this, one of the things that strikes you right away is that, and the main point I'm making here is that sales teams spend very little time actually selling. Most of their time is in non-selling activities, in supportive activities, and they only spend 28% of their time actually selling. In fact, they only spend 8.7% of their time prospecting, right? So there's a lot of opportunity here to make sales teams more efficient and more effective. And I think the implication of moving this needle, the sort of productivity needle for sales teams, is really profound. It's not primarily about getting your C- sales team member up to a to be a B player. It's actually about maximizing the capacity and productivity of your A and B plus players, right? And that's the power behind driving at sales productivity, and that's why I think having a sales assistant is going to be critical for every salesperson. So with that said, what does amplifying human-centric sales look like? Right? What does it look like when we talk about amplifying and augmenting human-centric sales teams? What does that look like? Well, there are a number of different things, but one of the first things that I think generative AI can really help with is in the area of what I call deep research, leveraging generative AI for deep research. Now, today, if you talk about using Gen AI to help with sales research, most of that discussion is really around using ChatGPT, right? And in a lot of ways, that's with good reason, because in a lot of ways, ChatGPT is really effective for research, and actually in a lot of ways superior to, say, using Google search for your research. And one particular way that ChatGPT can be leveraged to great effect and is really good for is really around providing summarizations, particularly around a background and an account, right? So, for instance, if you said, "Hey, I'm about to go in a meeting with Intuit, or I'm doing some research on Intuit, the financial software company, and you want an overview," you can actually not only have ChatGPT deliver you a summarization, but you can also be specific about what you want to see in that summarization. So I think ChatGPT is a really powerful tool, especially when it comes to summarizing data. So instead of looking at 5 or 6 different links that Google search may pop up, you get a really tight summary of it with less work, right? Fewer clicks. Other use cases, you can use it to generate target account lists. For instance, you can say, give me a top 20 trade associations in Washington, D.C., or something like that, right? So it's really good in a lot of ways for research, but ChatGPT also has limitations. And one of the limitations, as I think most of you would know, is it doesn't include current or recent events, right? So as you're researching, you're not going to get the latest in terms of new product releases, new partnership initiatives, an M&A event that may have occurred last year. You won't have the benefit of that insight, and that's significant, right? Because the foundation models are often trained only periodically. I think with OpenAI only up to the end of 2021, and so there are limitations around what something like ChatGPT can offer you in terms of currency. The second thing is that it may actually lack some really useful research content that doesn't happen to be on the web or is not easily accessible because it's in other, it may be in PDFs, in long form, uh, um, you know, um, data structures that are deeply buried, right? It might be an analyst report that's really meaningful, but it's in a PDF form, and it's buried in somewhere in an analyst site. It doesn't always have the most available information, and it'll omit stuff that isn't on the web typically. Thirdly, it needs, you need to have some skill or some ability with prompt engineering to get the very best results. You can certainly mitigate some of that with templates, but it's part of what is entailed in using ChatGPT. And then finally, I think people who've used it quite often say that the research is either sometimes insufficient or at the very least inconsistent, right? There's some variance to what you get. Well, I think that the real opportunity with generative AI is really to be able to power what I call deep research. And what deep research is, from my mind, to my mind, is the ability to collect, parse, present relevant buyer data to drive optimal outcomes, right? There is, ironically, today, the challenge is not about a lack of data. It's really about, in fact, in a lot of ways, it's having too much data, right? It's having so much data that it takes so much work just to parse through and find the nuggets of insights that you really need. And the challenge is really sifting through this really enormous volume of buyer-related data to derive the buyer insights that are particular for your business or your approach to the account. And to make things even more challenging, much of that buyer-related data is unstructured. Long-form reports, narratives, conversations, recorded videos, podcasts, and the like, right? 10Ks, proxy statements. These are there. A lot of that buy data is not structured. It's actually in text, or it's in video, and so deriving these buy insights for the most part has been really manually driven work, and it takes a lot of time. Well, I think generative AI provides a lot of opportunity for us to really power this, because the ability to sort of um, read long form content, read an article, read a press release, and then derive the insights. Be able to look at podcast transcripts and then derive insights is really, really powerful. And what that does is it allows you to surface a lot of insights that you can then leverage in really powerful ways. And one of those ways is something we call signal-based prospecting, right? I think one of the most exciting things about generative AI and the world of sales is it is sort of the emergence of signal-based prospecting, the ability to observe signals, not just inferring based on topical interest, maybe the way many intent products work today, but actually finding insights, signals that are pertinent to your specific business. And often these signals are found in unstructured content, right? So what's in a signal? What do I mean by signal? A signal is, just my definition of it is, a signal is notable information that indicates an optimal outbound opportunity, right? And ultimately can trigger outbound activity. And the reality is we do use signals today, right? We use signals to trigger outbound sequences. So for instance, if a company receives a Series B financing, uh, you know, um, we it's a very common play that you know, those of you that prospect will know about and use, and it doesn't really require AI in one sense, right? You can get that data and actually trigger an outbound sequence, um, targeting someone that's received a round of financing. But there is a problem with that approach today, and a lot of the signals that we use today are static structured signals, right? And so as a result, they're not very timely. So for instance, whether it's a signal where someone has, you have a product champion that has moved to a new job, that's usually a signal that we want to pick up on, or it's a company receiving a round of financing. One of the things you're going to find is that because that signal, that data element is structured, it's the reason it's available to you to be used in a merge field is because it's presented as a structured data element, meaning that data element is first sourced by, say, someone like Crunchbase. A company like Crunchbase may have that data because they scrape that data and then they parse it, they cleanse it, they put it into a structured format. And then maybe someone like, a data provider, I don't know this, but maybe a data providers like ZoomInfo and Apollo will then license that from them, right? And then they would then go through their own cleansing. And by the time it gets to you, typically it's 6 to 12 months delayed, right? So it's not very timely anymore, right? It's one thing to congratulate someone within 6 weeks of them receiving funding. It's something else altogether to come to them 10 months down the road and say, hey, congrats on your recent financing, right? It doesn't quite have the same impact. And I think that's even worse when someone's gone to a new job. So the not being timely is one of the issues you have with using the kind of static structured data signals that are available today with data providers. Now, the other problem is that some of the best signals, especially the signals that are pertinent to your business, are actually not in that structured format. They're not actually signals that are standard signals like these, right? Although these can be helpful, a lot of businesses are looking for something specific for their particular business. And some of the best signals, some of the best indicators that say this is the right time to reach out, are really not captured in terms of in these static data elements. And to give you an idea of what I mean, let me, I pulled up, I pulled this press release out. It's an actual press release of two companies, you know, uh, that is there who are announcing a strategic partnership, right? And so um, let's say you sell partner collaboration software, and you look for announcements of strategic partnership, and you see something like this pop up. Well, some of the most important signals, like that can be derived, are found in a press release like this, right? And signal-based prospecting with generative AI allows for the discovery of signals that are hidden within and buried within content like a press release. And what we want to be able to do is actually derive these signals to initiate an outbounding sequence. And if you look at even something like a press release like this, there are some really important signal elements, right? First of all, this is straightforward. Who's the partnership between, right? So first of all, you have to detect that there's partnerships. So you got to look out for these announcements. But then who's involved here? KDDI and WPP. KDDI, buried in here somewhere. It explains that KDDI is actually a Japan, Tokyo-based company, and WPP is out of London. What are they collaborating about? Well, they're coming out with a platform to target the creator economy with Web3 tools. KDDI has an existing service for the metaverse and Web3. They're also a metaverse leader in Japan. They have a product called Virtual Shibuya that's been out since 2020. And then there's more description about the details of their collaboration. What are they collaborating about? How do they go about collaborating? What are they exchanging? That kind of thing. Well, all this, if you think about it, if you're in the business, say, as I mentioned, selling, say, collaboration software for partnerships, you're looking at this and you say, I want to outbound to them. Well, to extract all these elements, to use it to craft a personalized outbound email is mostly a manual process. It's not data that you can buy from ZoomInfo, Apollo, any of the great data companies, because they're in the business of structured data. A lot of the insights, a lot of the details that are great buying signals are often buried within content, and a lot of these elements are not only indicative of the opportunity to outbound, they're also important information bits, if you would, that you can use in an outbound email, right? So that's just to give you an idea of how these the signal-based prospecting can work. But let me walk you through how one of our clients at Tiga, one of our Tiga clients, operationalizes this. We actually have a client that sells contract management software. They sell contract management software targeting, for government contracting firms, right? Because there's a lot of reporting and compliance requirements around managing government contracts. And one of the things they came to us, one of the things that attracted them to us was they said, we look for certain signals to identify the right time to prospect, and we want to be able, and these are non-conventional signals. Once again, it's not things that you can buy from your typical data vendor. It's really signals that exist through press releases, announcements, and the like. And so here are some of the signals that they look at. They look for contract award announcements, especially, and not every contract, because there's a range of different contracts, but certain contracts are particularly pertinent as a signal for them to reach out to, because it has a lot of compliance requirements in the contract, right? So they look for certain contract awards. They look on social media for and other venues, for people who have questions about government contract compliance. And then they look for whenever there are audits conducted related to contracts, because from time to time you might have a government agency, like say the Department of Labor, audit a company for labor compliance related to a particular contract. And they said, today what we do is we look across the web, we look at social, mostly LinkedIn, we looked at some long form content, we listen, we look for different announcements in different venues, specialized venues, and we have to literally extract that manually, so with people just reading through the content, and then we want to generate a personalized email. And so with the power of generative AI that we have, we're able to actually look for these very particular signals that probably don't matter to most companies, but certainly matter a great deal to our client, and be able to look across these different venues and actually not only detect these signals, but actually then generate an AI customized outbound sequence for each type of signal that it detects, right? So you not only have the detection of the signal, but you actually have the outbounding sequence as well. That just gives you an idea of how some of the more progressive, go-to-market teams are starting to think about the use of generative AI. Now, as I mentioned, in that signal-based prospecting, one of the things you're able to do after you detect the signal is actually generate an AI personalized outbound sequence or AI personalized outbound emails. And in fact, that's one of the things that's really powerful about generative AI, is the ability to execute personalized emails. You can certainly generate customized or personalized emails via ChatGPT and other AI content tools. But today there are a number of tools. We're one of them. There are a lot of other tools as well, like Reggie, I think, allows you to do this, that allow you to execute customized sequences at scale, right? And so if you look at this is, this is, you can actually have the form of a sequence, of a template sequence, but you may decide to have an intro paragraph that is AI customized, right? And so you might have it where you take a description of the company and you match it to what you're doing and ask the AI to actually generate a compelling intro paragraph. And in fact, that's one of the things it can do here, and it can do that kind of thing at scale that previously, if you want to do something like this, would only be available doing it manually, right? And your SDR would actually have to go look at what the company does and then build that intro paragraph. So there are a lot of tools now that are emerging. We're one of them that can allow you to do something like that. Other ways that you can leverage generative AI, you can use it to warm up a cold list. So one of the things, because it has all this power related to personalization, personalized sequences, you can use that to warm up, a cold list of prospects and really try to engage them with personalized email sequenced emails. And then you can also use AI personalization to do a more personalized follow-up after an event. So after, say, a webinar attendance, actually following up with them with a really personalized email. And then finally, you can also hyper-target, so to speak, based on a recent post, like on LinkedIn. And this is actually something we do for ourselves. So based on what we sell, as you might imagine, anyone that posts about AI and business productivity is of interest to us, right? And so when someone posts on AI, this is an excerpt of an email that was generated to someone in our prospect list. It actually, the AI would generate an opening paragraph that actually is personalized based on what they posted. So it says, we noticed what your post on LinkedIn about the importance of AI tools and for enhancing productivity, right? And then it goes on, and it can actually probably do even more personalization than what's indicated. But that's an example. Being able to take something present or current or recent that someone has posted and actually detect that as a signal and then actually use that as an opening paragraph. So this is some of the power of generative AI personalization that is in the market today and probably state of the art of what people are doing. A last thing that people are doing related to using generative AI and sort of amplifying sales teams is really automating sales tasks. And I won't go a lot into this other than to say some of the more common repetitive tasks that you see sales teams automating with the use of generative AI. And there are lots of tools related to this is the ability to generate pre-meeting notes, the ability to generate post-call summaries and then write them into your CRM. Having the AI actually provide follow-up reminders and that kind of thing. So lots of, and following up, as anyone knows, is that's ever sold is a big part, takes up a lot of time, and that's gives you quite a bit of assist. So with that, thank you. I hope you found this helpful. We just scratched the surface. And if you're interested in learning more, not just about TIGA, but about just more tools in the air in this whole area of generative AI, you want more information about just the sales tools ecosystem, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to chat. You can find me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. Bye.